Well, for more on the border crisis, we're going to bring in now George P. Bush. He's the commissioner of the Texas General Land Office and candidate for Texas Attorney General. So, Commissioner, your office is suing President Biden and the Department of Homeland Security on grounds that ending the wall construction is illegal. Do you believe you have a strong chance of winning the lawsuit, or is this a means to bring more attention to what is obviously a border crisis?
Absolutely. We think it's a clear separation of powers case that says that during the Trump administration days, $5 billion was appropriated over the course of 4 years to secure 750 miles of wall. Regretfully, the state of Texas has exposure with over 200,000 acres of areas where we are unfenced and where we've seen much of the imagery that you've shown occur on state lands, not only resulting in economic destruction of our tenants, whether they be ranchers, farmers, and other landowners, but also has resulted in a lawless situation that allows for coyotes, smugglers, and traffickers to continue a lawless situation on our border. So we filed in the Southern District of the U.S. Court House in Laredo, and we look forward to presenting our case fairly soon.
And let me ask you, but is it President Biden's prerogative to stop construction of a border wall that former President Trump started and repeal and replace with what President Biden believes are better ideas, solutions, or policies?
Well, the Constitution is very clear that under Article 2 powers for the president, he or she has certainly their opinion as it relates to their budgets under their time. However, Congress was very clear that they appropriated $5 billion over 4 years during the Trump days that has largely been unspent. About $1.3 billion still remains in Corps of Engineers bank accounts, and several of that would have protected areas in the Rio Grande Valley and also Laredo. Just yesterday, Department of Homeland Security announced that they are canceling 2 contracts that would have secured an additional 31 miles of wall. So all to say that they are diverting the Biden administration, that is, illegally diverting money away from what was duly appropriated by Congress during the Trump days.
Yeah, and I don't want to sidetrack too much about the former President Trump, that is, diverting, if you will, some monies from that was allocated for a military budget and putting that towards the actual border wall. But we may come back to that. Let me move on, though. If you were to win this lawsuit, explain how quickly a border wall could be completed and how much it would cut down on illegal crossings.
Well, I'm seeking declaratory and injunctive relief. So if assuming a favorable ruling, we could get to work. A lot of the contractors are already on the books. As I mentioned, the capital is in the Corps of Engineers account, so we can continue. You may have seen the announcement a few weeks back that the governor is going to kickstart $250 million to complete unfinished areas. And so our agency, along with Texas Facilities Commission, will do what we can, whether it's temporary fencing or other mechanisms by which we can stem the flow. A physical wall is one part of an overall strategy to make sure that we're trying to stem the flow the best way that we can.
So it's not just the wall. You have a multi-pronged way. And by the way, that $250 million down payment you talked about is also being funded by public donations. And I understand that it raised nearly $400,000 in the first week.
That's correct. You know, whether it's Texans or people from around the country, they understand that this is not just a border community issue. This is a national security issue. And the statistics speak for themselves. In terms of the Rio Grande Valley, the fentanyl transiting has resulted in a dangerous situation for our communities, whether it's narcotics or human trafficking. We've seen a spike in this trade, which unfortunately is jeopardizing young Texas women. So this is really a call to action where people are coming together, whether it's in the private or the public sector, to make sure that we're doing everything possible within our legal avenues to make sure that we're standing up and we're securing what we can.
Commissioner Bush, you seem thoughtful and measured in your approach here. Have you spoken to President Biden directly about your concerns, and perhaps could you have maybe gotten results outside of the court?
Well, we attempted to communicate, and we've worked with, honorable people like Henry Cuellar, a Democrat in Laredo, who's begged the president and the vice president to come down to the border and see for themselves what is happening, not only in El Paso, but the Del Rio sector, the Laredo sector, the Rio Grande Valley. But regretfully, upon deaf ears, I think that it's important for them to come down, to continue to visit with people that are involved in law enforcement and understand that this is a historic surge of over more illegal immigration in the last 21 years than we've seen in modern history. So it's a serious situation, and polling shows that a majority of Americans want more action from their president on this issue. And as Texans, I know we're accustomed to this, but this is the largest surge that we've seen in many of our lifetimes.
And again, did you speak to President Biden? Because I mean, again, you have such a good way of not only your demeanor, but a good way of explaining the problem there.
Well, I've reached out to whether it's Interior Department, to Department of Homeland Security, whether it's on natural resources issues and a variety of other issues that our agency deals with in terms of our relationship with the federal government, but have not received a response. We were forced to come to the courthouse to file our suit because enough is enough. Whether it's our acreage in the Rio Grande City where we held our press conference, you'll actually see unfinished horizontal wall that's sitting there. And to me, it's just abundant government waste. But there's so many other areas of the border that need to be secured. Otherwise, with our looming asylum loopholes that exist, a lot of folks are going to continue to come here from around the world with this false promise that they can come here through an expedited manner while they wait for their notice to appear before an immigration judge.
That on top of now you've got, per Bill Malusian's report, that you've got some of these migrants refusing to take a COVID shot after having been tested positive. So definitely compounds that situation. I do have to run now. Commissioner George P. Bush, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Take care. Eric.
And George P. Bush. Well, former President Trump and President Biden, man, oh man, are they going after each other. It's almost like the presidential election is still ongoing.